Hi. So once again, I am here. My name is Nirbhay Saxena, and once again, I am here with my new thought sharing video. This is related to the product requirements. So most of the industries are facing the challenges to complete the new product development process. Customer, every time they share the new requirements, which is very difficult to manage after completing the process. So that's why it is very important to understand what are the requirement customer has to share with the organization. If customer is not sharing all the requirements, this is organization requirement to capture all this requirement by question answer round, by any other methods. So in this thought sharing video, I will share what are the major requirements related to the product which we have to capture before starting the product realization process. In product requirement process, the first important thing which we have to consider, that is statutory and regulatory requirements, because most of the products may be linked with the safety requirements, some regulation requirements. At the time of initial discussion with the customer, if we are not focusing on the statutory and regulatory requirement, then it can create the problem after completing the project. So that's why it is very important to capture the statutory and regulatory requirements. This statutory and regulatory requirements could be related to the process. Sometime in some of the processes, some statutory and regulatory requirements are there. For example, in welding process, some special kind of skill for the operator is required. So that kind of information you can capture. Otherwise, it will create the problem after completing the project. And similarly, some pollution related, some ELV related, some other kind of REACH or ROHS requirements. So if organization is not clear about all these statutory and regulatory requirements, then there are possibility for the failures after completing the product realization process. So that's why our standard and our quality management system is just giving the idea you have to capture the statutory and regulatory requirement first. After that, the second thing is related to the customer requirements. Now, what is customer requirement? Now, customer requirement could be aesthetic requirement, because in some of the product, some appearance approval is also required. So we have to be very careful about the aesthetic requirements. The second requirement is related to the dimensional, because sometimes some of the organization are having some constraints about the dimensions. They are not able to produce that kind of dimension, number one. Number two, sometimes they can produce, but they are not able to measure that kind of dimensions. So that's why it is very important, and we have to be very careful during the capturing the dimensional requirement. The third thing, which is also very important, that is related to the fitment and functional related requirements. Because if an organization doesn't understand where this part will fit and what is the function of that particular part, so again there are a lot of issues which we notice in the industries. Industries are facing the challenges, and every time customer is registering the customer complaint on that kind of dimensions. So that's why it is very important to understand the fitment and functional related requirements. What are the dimensions which are directly having the relation with the function or directly related to the fitment also. So organization has to take care about all those kind of dimensions. And sometime in some of the products, some performance related requirement, because when customer is in the process to qualify the product, then there are some performance related requirements. So organization has to take care about the performance requirement. If customer is not sharing the performance requirement. This is organization responsibility to ask the performance requirement. Okay, do we have any performance requirement for this product or not? And if the answer is yes, so we have to capture all those requirements. Otherwise, after completing your product relation process, when customer will follow the process, their process, at that time, this part may fail in performances. So organization don't want such kind of risk. The next thing is sometimes some of the parts are having the testing requirements also. For example, load testing. For example, some tensile strength related testings, and sometimes some of the chemical analysis or some different kind of testing requirements. So all these kind of information either customer has to provide, or if customer is not providing, in that kind of situation we have to make a open discussion with the customer, so that after completing the product relation process there should not be any failure in our product. Our process or our time or our money should be in right direction. Otherwise, in case of rework, again and again we have to incur some money and the time also. The next thing is sometime, the next requirement is sometime organization understand that customer has not provided all this information, but for this kind of product, some other kind of requirement which organization understand that this is mandatory for my product. For example, one sheet metal industry understand the importance of the rust. So organization can decide their requirement, what kind of rust preventive oil they will use. In some of the companies, packing requirements is also very much important. Customer may not understand what is the importance of the packaging, but organization understand what is the importance of the packaging. So all those kind of information which customer is not asking, but organization understand this is mandatory for the product. So that kind of information we have to capture. So that is also important. And sometimes there is one more thing, whatever the organization claims to the customer, yes, that we will do, or this kind of situation or this kind of requirement we will not meet. So all those kind of information we have to capture at that time. Now important is organizations is having some challenges. Now what are the challenges? The first challenge, customer is not providing the information, proper information. So this is the organization responsibility to take all the information and convey the risk to the customer, so that customer can understand if we do not share this kind of information, then what kind of failure we can. The second thing is related to responsibility. Sometimes in organization doesn't understand what is the importance of the responsibility, because sometimes product relation process or the process owner understand this is the marketing process responsibility. Marketing has to capture all this requirement, but marketing doesn't have any relation with the product performances. So it is important that we have to clearly define the responsibility who will take all the information from the customer. So this is also one of the problem organization is facing, the challenges with respect to that. The next thing is related to the team competence. If team is not aware or team is not competent to collect all this information, then again this kind of failure you can face. The next is related to the team knowledge. If team is not aware what are the important product characteristic we have to capture, or what are the product information we have to capture from the customer, then again this situation can arise and organization will face the challenges. So this is very important to collect all this information from the customer. Or if you have any other idea, for example, sometimes some of the product are having their own international standards. So we have to take all this information from the international standard, and after that we have to take an agreement from the customer. Okay, we understand in this product this kind of requirement is applicable, and according to IS this, we have to follow this. So are you agree on that? So we have to take the acknowledgement from the customer. So in this video, I have shared about the product requirement. What are the important characteristics which we have to capture from the customer? And if we don't capture all these things, then your product realization process will not be successful. This is the problem to the organization. So I hope this thought sharing video will helpful to your organization, and if you think this information is very useful for your organization, so you can share this thought sharing video with your team members or your friends who can take the benefit of this kind of videos. So thank you, and thank you very much.